Cooking safely, yes, right, yeah. That's my final answer. Cooking safely. I'm terrible.
I'm a straight donation station in Jupiter.
If you're low on cash, call Sawhead.
Give us a moment, FP. Give us a moment. Right in the middle.
Can we just please stop saying this a moment ago?
Subtle signs that you're playing with a stick.
A bag? You want me to be intimidated by a f***ing bag? What is up, Golf Sickos? We have, I think it's one of our best Wednesday shows ever on deck for you guys. I'm joined by my man, Ben Boscovich, over there in the chair.
What's up?
We got a lot. We're going to talk to the Golf Digest #1 coach in America, Mark Blackburn. Works with Justin Rose, works with Max Homa. We're going to talk about the reunion with Max Homa. Works with Matt Fitzpatrick, how he transformed Fitz's iron game. We have another Mark on the show, Mark Hubbard. Awesome, beauty, knockaround guy, PGA Tour guy. He's a veteran out there, been out there for 10 years, but it's nice to hear all different perspectives. We hear from a lot of the top players in the world. It's nice to hear from a guy who's, self-admitted, not a top player in the world. We're gonna talk about Bryson saying some absolutely crazy stuff down in South Africa. I feel it was like a vintage Bryson week. We're talking about Rory's Champions Dinner. All that is coming up. We're gonna start though with a little bit of housekeeping stuff, a little bit of stuff that sort of came across my desk. The Players Championship, which we enjoyed very, very much. Cameron Young winning, Matt Fitzpatrick finishing second, Ludwig Oberg collapsing, is that fair to say?
Yeah.
I
think it is fair to say.
it is fair to say. Well, it drew a huge number. It drew 4.4 million viewers on NBC and Peacock average, the most watched final round since 2021. You know who won in 2021? Justin Thomas. He's box office. And this wasn't even, the biggest names. Like, it was Cameron Young versus Matt Fitzpatrick on the stretch. Ludwig's a big name, but there was no Rory. There was no Scotty. There was no Tommy Fleetwood, in the mix. So it was a really good sign. And you know what I thought was an interesting locus of comparison? 4.4 million for the Players. PGA Championship last year, 4.76 million.
Oh, wow.
So they're pretty damn close.
Those are major numbers.
Those are major numbers. They're less than 10% apart. So yeah, just an interesting note.
I saw another tweet that said, ironically, that Liv had 2021 viewers.
For the Singapore event?
Yeah, for the Singapore event.
Yeah, Liv is down in South Africa. I think they've sold 100,000 tickets, which is a big number. I think it's going to be one of their bigger weeks. Again, this is, I won't probably be watching because I'll be in Japan. As you guys know, I'm going to Japan on Friday. Starting to get very real. Starting to get very, very real. So this is our last show before our little spring break. Speaking of professional golf, this is the Dan on Golf Show. We do that a lot. This week we have the Valspar Championship in Tampa. Pretty good field. Pretty damn good field. Xander's playing. Victor's playing. Justin Thomas is playing. Jordan Spieth is playing. Matt Fitzpatrick is playing. I thought Ashtray was going to be playing. He is not playing. So he is withdrawn. TGL, this is right after he got Jupiter Links. They got through to the final. They beat Rory McIlroy's Boston Common. So it's Jupiter Links versus LAGC in the final. And what's interesting? I think Kevin Kisner's going to have to play.
Yeah.
Akshay withdrew from Valspar. I don't think it's because of an injury. He's playing in India next week.
Oh, wow.
He's playing the Hero Indian Open. I think that's what it is. There's a couple events in India, but he's playing in India next week.
Is that the National Open?
I don't know. I think so, but I don't know. There was an event in India that Tommy Fleetwood won. Remember, with that crazy course? Yeah. I think this is I think Saath is playing in this one too. So, and the finals are over 2 nights next week. So it's best of 3. The first game is on Monday, the TGL finals. The second is on Tuesday. And then if it's 1-1, they'll play a third one also on Tuesday. But I don't think Akshay can play because he has to go to India. It's not like he's going down the road to Jacksonville for a Florida event. So I think it's going to be Kevin Kisner, Max Homa, and Tom Sim.
Unless the cat gets his shit together.
Unless the cat gets his shit together, which brings us to our next point. It's not looking great for the cat. So he gave a little bit of a Masters update. It's not sounding great. They were asking him about if he's going to play next week. He more or less said, no, I'm not going to play in the TGL finals next week, which means he'll miss the whole season. It's not like Tiger hasn't played his first event of the year at the Masters before. He's done that a number of times before. And, he would always say in his heyday that he didn't really want to tee it up unless he could win, right? Every time, I'm only here because I feel like I can win. I don't know that that's necessarily the case anymore.
He's got to change that policy.
Yeah. So he said, I've been working on it about his health. Sometimes I have good days. Sometimes I have bad days. Disc replacement is not a lot of fun. So Will Zalatoris went through it. He had 2 levels done and it takes time. So as I said, I've had a lot of procedures prior to that. So the body doesn't quite heal like it did when I was 24. Doesn't quite bounce back. So I have good days when I can do pretty much anything and other days where it's hard to just move around. I think he really wants to play the Masters because he wants to be a part of something.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to be there for the Champions Dinner anyway. We're going to talk about Rory's Champions Dinner in a little. So I still wouldn't be surprised if he plays the Masters. The odds are certainly less than if he had played TGL. It's like he's definitely playing the Masters. I wouldn't be surprised if like he knows that he's not. I know I'm kind of sort of contradicting myself here. If there is a major where he could contend without any sort of run-up, it is the Masters.
Yeah.
Given his history there, given the golf course, we've seen like older guys compete, you know, Bernhard Longer, Fred Couples forever. So much guile. That course is so specific with the questions that it asks. It is so much local knowledge required. You know, I don't think that he fancies his chances at Aronimink. I don't think that he fancies his chances at Shinnecock Hills, right? I don't think he fancies his chances going all the way over there for Royal Liverpool with the cold weather. And, you know, I think he's feeling like if I'm going to put a decent showing, even a decent showing, the one is the Masters. And I'm sure that's the one tournament that he has circled on his calendar to actually play. Gun to my head, does he play? Probably not. But I still think there is a chance. I don't think that him not playing TGL means that he's not going to play the Masters.
Well, I have a question for you. Do you think that he respects the Masters and maybe himself a little too much to just do it knowing that he might WD at the end of Thursday? Like, or is he just not willing to go down that road if he thinks like, I'm going to withdraw? Like he wouldn't want to hold, I don't know. What's your perspective?
I mean,
on
he
that?
did withdraw from the Masters recently, but it was kind of a weird case. It was that one where it was rain in 2023, I think it was, where they had to play like 27 holes. Remember when John Rahm kind of chased down Brooks and leapfrogged him toward the end? It was like a marathon. No, I don't. I think he doesn't want to play if he feels like his health is a question mark. I think he'll play if his game is a question mark. I don't think he's afraid of going out there and shooting 76 if that happens. But I do think he doesn't want to withdraw.
If I were him and I felt like I had 18 holes in me, but not necessarily 36, I'd go.
You'd go?
Yeah.
Maybe the adrenaline just kind of kicks in.
Maybe. The worst case scenario, he's right back where he started. So like, at least he like gets a good gauge of like, all right, this is a nice place to try to.
Yeah, but it's been nice to see him like so incredibly bought into TGL.
Oh yeah,
the way he talks about it, about the bond that they have.
That's why he loves it.
Yeah,
hanging out with the boys. And I notice
he loves hanging out with the boys.
None of them call him Tiger.
What do they call him?
It's T-Dub or T or T Money or like whatever it is. Like they're all just like, he wants them to be his bros. Like
being a part of a team is super fun. And first, obviously your mind when that happens goes to Live Golf and the teams that they have. And those guys seem to enjoy it as well. It doesn't mean that it's a good product for television, but surely being a part of a team is fun.
No.
When we're a team, we have a lot of fun out on the golf course. Being a team on the golf course is just a fun thing. And Tiger seems to really genuinely enjoy hanging around the guys. And I think Tiger just loves like normalcy. And like being around guys, because like when he's at a tournament, he's on his own. He's surrounded by his whole team. He's not
there's an agenda,
right? Like every conversation is so fraught, and like, but when he's out at TGL and there's no pressure on him to like play or perform, he can just be a dude. And I think
so
he loves
much
being a dude.
Yeah. That when he answers questions like, are you going to play next week? It's way more playful than I feel like it used to be like 10 years ago, where he had to be so diplomatic about like whether he's not.
Yeah,
like,
he's more of a human.
He's more transparent.
Totally, more of a human. So back to Tampa, where there will not be team golf. It's a very, very real golf tournament. Victor Hovland is playing this week. He's had a couple of decent showings the last couple of weeks, Bay Hill and the Players, and he's just becoming one of the best interviews in pro golf. Like he's always changing swing coaches. He's got a new one yet again. I think I saw him say, I don't seek out dumb people. I try to seek out the smartest people that I know, and kind of go from there. And I like to get new information. I found this clip very interesting. He was talking about trying to sort of switch off, and he has a hard time with it. Let's hear from Victor Hovland.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to take some Mondays off. I think my trainer would definitely want me to do that, but it's it's hard for me to take time off and relax when I don't feel like I'm in a state where I feel like I deserve to take one. I feel like there's some things, I have ideas in my head, always constantly trying to problem solve and see what works. And if I have, an idea, I want to just go out there and test it and see if it works. If it doesn't, well, okay, how do we move on from there? So ideally, in a perfect world, if I was playing great golf, I'd probably take yesterday off and just relax, but that's not where we're at, so we're going to have to go out there and and practice.
This resonated with me more than I can tell you. I have a really hard time switching off. I have a really hard time not looking at my phone, not thinking about ideas that we can make ourselves better. So yeah, I mean, Victor's he's not playing his best right now, and he obviously feels like you got to dig it in the dirt, right? You got to find it on the practice range.
I can tell you, like, someone who works 100 feet from a simulator, and you see the ball sitting there, and you're like thinking about a move or a swing thought, and you're like, I'm just gonna go test.
Yeah, well, golf is like kind of the perfect level of physical exertion where like you could do it every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not gonna, if you're playing an NFL football game, you got to take Monday off because like you can barely get out of bed. These guys, they probably feel like they can just hit balls every single day.
Yeah.
But there's diminishing returns to that, So I just thought that was very interesting. Another interesting thing that came. News dropped from our man Matt Gannon, really good dude. He's at every single golf tournament, I think. Just like grinding it out. This guy, just on the ground.
That's some travel.
I respect it.
Yeah.
So Wyndham Clark, no longer with his caddy John Ellis. Now John Ellis is, drumroll please, a great player in his own right. You knew that was coming. Great player in his own right, kind of a mini tour legend. These two have been together for a really long time. Really, really long time. John Ellis, one of the most respected caddies out there. He was on Wyndham's bag when Wyndham won the 2023 U.S. Open asterisk at LACC. I'm just kidding. Sort of. It was my least favorite major that I've watched recently. Wyndham's, been struggling. He's just not in a great way right now. I think he's dropped to like 50, 60 something in the world. That year, remember, he won before the U.S. Open. It wasn't exactly a one-hit wonder. It was actually a very similar path to J.J. Spaun. J.J. Spaun lost in a playoff to Rory McIlroy at the Players. Then a couple months later won the U.S. Open at LACC. Or no, at Oakmont, sorry. Wyndham Clark won earlier that year at Quail Hollow. It was a signature event, and then he won the U.S. Open. So he was a big time player.
It was his moment.
Yeah, it was his moment, his season. It hasn't quite been the same since. I think sometimes when you're playing shit, and I've talked about this with caddies, and we talked about this with Willie. You're afraid because you see that guy more than you see your own wife. And 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, however many weeks that you guys play, that's a lot of time together. And if there's any sort of negativity, that's the first person to go because that's the person that you see the most.
There's got to be some kind of like unique anxiety for a caddy that like they know very well that they're not the ones hitting the shots, but they know exactly what they want the guy to do and what he's capable of. And that moment between where like it doesn't happen and he's probably like, is it my fault? Is it his fault? He hits the shots, but I'm, that's a unique tension.
So I experienced 1 week caddying on the PGA Tour. I caddied for Matt in the 2020 AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am right before the world shut down with COVID. And I can tell you from my experience, when they're playing well, it's the greatest fucking job in the world. You're sitting there, you're talking about a shot, and this guy next to you who's so much better than you at golf is just executing. He's just hitting the shot that you're talking about.
He knows what club he wants. Right? He knows what shot
he's got a 3.5 footer for par. He just knocks it in, no problem. It flipped on us in that final round on Sunday, and Fitz kind of collapsed on the back nine. When they're playing shit, you're really helpless.
Yeah.
Like really, really, really helpless because you're giving them the same information. It's not like anything that and you're trying to sort of portray confidence. You don't want to show like any sort of panic. That's the worst thing that you can do. But they're just not hitting the shots.
It can also be annoying to be too motivational too.
Right. You have to strike the perfect tone. You have to know your guy, but like you can give all the pep talk and if their swing is off, you're absolutely powerless.
What was your your strategy for that? Were you just only say only answer questions, don't ask them, or did you stay silent?
I just got really quiet. I mean, I'm not a professional caddy. I knew it was a 1 week thing, so I wasn't gonna be like, you got this, bro. We can do this. I just got really quiet, and then it was really quiet. He didn't. And Matt's already pretty quiet, and it was really, really quiet toward the end. And then I remember on the 18th hole, he hit it at Pebble. He hit it down the middle. And I'm saying, do you want to go for it? And he's like, well, we got to protect the lead here. And that was funny because he was like 10 shots back.
He had already fallen off.
Yeah. But no,
it's attention a little. That's nice.
John Ellis is a very eligible caddy. He will get a job very, very, very quickly and probably a big time job. Yeah. No concerns about that. All right, Bryson. Bryson did a press conference. So like we said, Live South Africa this week. He did a press conference. It was a 38-minute press conference, I believe. It talked about everything under the sun. We've got a couple different clips from it. The first one, he called out Tiger Woods' TGL team. Let's roll that clip.
How about the Crushers goes up against Jupiter Lynx?
Exactly.
In an 18-hole match, 4v4, stroke play.
Okay, so how do we make it happen?
I mean, we can just call them out right now and say, let's go.
Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it.
Decided right here, Live SA.
Right here, why not? You guys would love to go up against them, right?
Sure.
Why not? That'd be fun. Show them who's the best team in the world, or any of them. LA, it doesn't matter. We'd go up against them. John Rahm's team, we'd all go up against them. We'd love that. How great would that be for golf too, by the way?
And just to clarify, that's going to be an outdoor match, right?
Let's play outdoor golf.
Yeah.
Real golf, real golf.
Real golf.
I actually think this would save golf, Ben. I think this would be it. I
I'd
think
certainly
this is,
watch it.
This is definitely the thing that would save golf. I'm not being 100% serious. I mean, they've done matches like this. They did a Bryson and Brooks versus Rory and Scotty.
If they're going to do it, why would they do it outdoors? Like, you're going to bring a TGL team outdoors that already plays
bring
outside?
the Crushers to TGL.
That's what I think.
That's where I'm talking about some box office eyeballs.
I'm not sure that if TGL wasn't a, like, every once in a while, this random 4 guys take on these random 4 guys in an indoor match and it goes on YouTube live, like, that it wouldn't be absolute box office.
Yeah,
like, if you just had random guys every time.
I will say, YouTube is a weird one, man. I saw there was a match. It was like TaylorMade had their guys when they were all top 4.
Yeah.
So it was Scotty, Rory, Tommy, Colin.
Yeah.
They played a best ball match. It was either at Riviera or Pebble. It was on the TaylorMade channel. They collabed with the PGA Tour channel. It like did not do anywhere near what a Grant Horvat video does. So YouTube is just its own ecosystem.
That's true.
Bryson was not done. This was probably my favorite. This is my favorite thing that Bryson has said in a really long time about drivers. Let's roll this clip.
If you want to say that a driver back in 2009 is worse than now, I would actually disagree with you on that. I think they're relatively the same and not much has changed. And you can't change it that much with the rules being the way they are.
So I think that we need Bryson to bring back a 2009 driver. And I did a little bit of digging. This is so good. This is classic Bryson. I love Bryson when he just says shit like this. Let's show some drivers from 2009.
Let's take a look.
TaylorMade burner. Check out that beauty. You remember that guy? Shiny.
Looks
very,
familiar.
very shiny. Cleveland Launcher. That thing looks like it's been through 2 tours
baby.
in Fallujah. I mean, that
was thick.
That thing is thick. We got the Ping Rapture. With the sticker still on it, that thing is so round.
That's a stiff
that
shaft,
thing is so.
guys.
We got better ones. We got better ones coming. We got the Nike Sasquatch Dymo.
How about that? Did you even know that existed?
Well, I knew they had the square one, and then this one they went for kind of a half square, half regular driver.
In 09, they were trying stuff.
Bryson, bring it back, and then finally we go full square. The Callaway FTIQ.
Oh, this guy.
I love that he said this so much. It's a preposterous statement, especially because he is the guy who complains about drivers. Remember, he said the driver sucks. Said that at the British Open. The driver sucks. And then he was, creating this new driver with LA Golf that was going to be revolutionary. And now it's just, you know what? You hand me a TaylorMade burner and it's the same damn thing.
He just tried to frame mug every person in an OEM research and development position because he's like, you guys have been wasting your time for how many years?
And look at the driving distance between 2009 and 2026. It's crazy. And he said, we're just more comfortable swinging harder. Maybe you're more comfortable swinging harder because the drivers are better.
Are so forgiving.
I love it.
See Ludi's toe.
I don't want this. I love that Bryson exists in the game. I love when he just says shit like this. Fantastic. And I would love to see Bryson prove a point. Go out there with a Ping Rapture. Actually, go out there with the Nike Sasquatch Dymo.
Yeah.
I would love to see it.
Going one way.
And then there was say something sort of negative about Bryson, say something sort of positive about Bryson. This was a classic moment. He thought that this reporter was maybe a robot. Let's roll this one.
Ibrahim Tayyab from Chat EBT. Bryson, I think a lot of South Africans are really excited.
Did you say Chat?
EBT.
EBT. Okay. Got him excited. I didn't know.
I'm gonna say it's pun intended. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, very, very intended.
Great. Okay. I was just for a second. Wait a minute. Are you AI? Live AI. Here we go.
I thought the best part of that was sort of like the 2-second gap where he's like, you could see it kind of click in his head. And he's like, I'm just going to cut. I'm just going to, what did you just say to me?
Also, the thing is, it's Chat EBT. Is that like an AI, like food stamps digital situation?
I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. Hilarious stuff. Live South Africa this weekend. What a lead up. Yeah. Earlier today, it always happens. The champion does a press conference with media and they announce their champions dinner. My first thought, Rory McIlroy's Champions Dinner, he's come a long way from Hollywood Golf Club. This was a Mastros, Nobu.
We're fresh off of being in Northern Ireland and seeing what the fare is like out there, right?
This is a Mastros, Nobu, Palm menu. This is fancy ass. Rock shrimp tempura, yellowfin tuna carpaccio, wagyu filet, or salmon? And again, my first thought about this, and I'm probably not beating the allegations here, was how much it's going to cost. And I looked up the wine and how much these wines are going to cost. Okay. He's got a 2015 Salon S Brut, 1,326 per bottle.
Wow.
2022 Domaine Le Fleuve, 2,371.
22 was a great year.
1990 Chateau Lafite Rothschild, 1,273. 1989 Chateau de Vacarme, $530.
Another great year.
So I did a little bit of research on a little bit of math on how much this dinner is going to cost. I think this is going to be by far the most expensive
per plate.
I think this is going to be by far the most expensive Champions dinner in the history of the Masters, and the champion foots the bill. The reason he's able to get all these wines is because the Masters has this incredible wine cellar. You can have your pick. So the average bottle of those 4 bottles is $1,375, okay? There's about 35 attendees at the Masters dinner, okay? I said if all 35 of those guys consume about 3/4 of a bottle per person. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I would say half to 3/4.
Yeah, so like let's some
2 to 4 glasses of wine.
There's some guys who aren't playing in the tournament who are probably going to get after it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So let's say 0.75 bottles per person. So that would be roughly 26 bottles. So that would be $36,093 in wine only.
It's the bar tab.
That's just wine. If a guy wants a guy wants to have a couple glasses of bourbon,
maybe a top shelf liquor that
some brandy, some Louis XIII. I think we could have a 6-figure dinner, and Rory McIlroy will be happy to pay every single cent because there's only once that is your first Champions dinner.
That's right.
And I love it. He's earned it. He's come a long way from, I meant that as a positive. He's come a long way from Hollywood Golf Club to be able to have this dinner at the Masters, go into that wine cellar. He'll probably be hungover on Wednesday.
Yacht Rory showed up for the menu creation, and I love it.
Big time Yacht Rory. It's going to be a 6-figure dinner, and he has earned every penny of it. We are going to hop into our first interview of the day. We got the Marks. We got Mark Blackburn. We got Mark Hubbard. I love Mark Hubbard. He's a knockaround guy just like I am, and just one of the good dudes out there. I enjoyed catching up with him, a different perspective on everything that's going on the PGA Tour. Here's our interview with Mark Hubbard. All right, we are joined by Mark Hubbard. Excited to have you on the show. First time on the show. You know, we were talking at the knockaround dinner. We're both knockaround guys in San Diego. You were telling me that you just moved to a place where not many PGA Tour pros move. You know, we hear a lot about Jupiter. We hear a lot about Dallas. We hear a lot about Scottsdale. Where are you living these days and why?
Yeah, there's exactly one living where I am, and that's me. And we just moved to like the South Reno, Tahoe area. It's been a year now. We moved, obviously not for golf. The golf there has proven to be pretty good, but we moved for, the lifestyle, the mountains. I'm a big skier. I'm from Colorado, and it reminds me a ton of home. And then we got some family close by on my wife's side. So it was more of a life decision than a golf decision, which doesn't happen too often in our profession, but it was what we needed at the time.
Man, it's like you and Patrick Rogers. Patrick Rogers moved back to, I think, Palo Alto because his kid got into a really good private elementary school. I said, "Fuck your kids, bro. You're playing on the big tour." How do you that is a tough decision for you. I mean, I know you were in Scottsdale before, which is like golf mecca. Or no, you were in Houston. Sorry, you were in Houston, where there's still a lot of tour pros. How do you make that decision at this point in your career?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, just so much. It definitely has to do with kids. I mean, kids changes your perspective on everything. But yeah, I mean, up until this point, like everything we've done in our life has pretty much solely revolved around golf. For better or worse, but that becomes kind of, a one-sided life. And we just got tired of living somewhere specifically for golf. Like, we're on the road 35 weeks a year. That's plenty of time to be solely focused on golf. The weeks that we're home, we want to, more of the lifestyle I had when I was growing up, and we got to start thinking about our kids and what we want for them. So obviously, there's some tough things that are coming with it from the golf side, but in this day and age, like with how easy travel is and, all the indoor technology stuff we have, it really hasn't been that big of an adjustment.
What's the origination of Homeless Hubs?
So when I was playing mini tour stuff, John Ellis, who caddies for Wyndham Clark, and Brady, who Stockton, who caddies for Goddard, I was playing mini tour stuff with them and literally just crashing on their couch, sleeping on their floor, whatever, in Arizona. And obviously I'm a little scruffy, so they just one day started calling me homeless, and it stuck. So you finished 77th last year in the FedEx, which in every year, most of every year in your career would have been
pretty damn solid, totally fine. Obviously, it's a little different now. What's it been like being on kind of the sort of edge?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was my 4th best finish out of 10 years. So, I mean, I felt like it was pretty good. It did come with kind of a Hail Mary at the end because I finished 3rd at Wyndham. So it was a little different than some other years. But yeah, it's been a little different, really not that much. I know we put the priority on the 70, but really it's the 50 number because that gets you into the signature events. Like the 70 gets you an opportunity. But all I really lost was 1 week in Memphis. So it really hasn't changed my schedule a ton. That being said, going forward, like you want to get in that 50, you want to keep, the schedule's only going to keep changing and, with the PGA Tour A and B that they're proposing, but it's kind of already how it is. Like you definitely want to be in that upper echelon to get into those signature events because it's just so heavily weighted in the points and stuff that it's hard. It's hard to drop out of there if you're in there, and it's hard to get in there if you're not.
Yeah, I mean, that was my favorite bit from the press conference of Brian Rollap was getting rid of these limited field events. These sort of 80 man no cut. It just, it was sort of an overreaction to live from my perspective. I love that they're going away from it. What was your takeaway from his press conference last week? Did you even pay attention?
I pay attention because my brother pays attention. I try and just keep my head down in golf, but he's in the golf media world and keeping track of things and knows Brian well. So he kind of always, has the spark notes for me. But yeah, I'm with you. I thought a lot of the stuff we did was an overreaction or nothing else, just a reaction, delayed reaction. I think we could have been a little more proactive in the beginning and not had to make all of those sudden changes. But I mean, the 120 field thing to me is such a no-brainer. I don't understand what was wrong with all the 120 events before. Like just off the top of my head, thinking about some of those before we went to the small fields, like the Bay Hill that Kurt Kitayama won, that had everything a fan could possibly want. It had the big names. It had a guy coming out of nowhere and, changing the course of his career path. Like, there was absolutely nothing wrong with those 120 fields, and it was absolutely an overreaction. So I'm glad he's realized that and going back to those.
Have you guys noticed a tone shift at all with the new leadership? I mean, you've like you said, you've been doing this for 10 years. There's a new CEO, new people at the helm. Does it feel different at all?
Yeah, it does. It feels different in that although we haven't made any changes yet, it seems very clear that he has a direction he wants to go, and he's going to go that direction. Whereas before, like I said, I feel like we have been for the last, 5+ years, very reactive and kind of, getting led in a bunch of different directions by our stars, by our board, by people leaving, whatever it may be. And he seems like he has a decent pulse on what the fans need, and he has a direction that he wants to go. And he doesn't really care who he pisses off, number 1 player or number 200 player. He's going to go that way if he thinks that's what's best for the board and best for the fans and best for golf. So
yeah, well, sometimes you need a decision maker.
Yeah, as a captain of your ship, that's what you want, good or bad. Even in golf, like you're better off committing to the right thing than being wishy-washy, or you're better off committing to the wrong thing than being wishy-washy on the right thing. So having a captain leading your ship who's just going to go, obviously there's going to be things that come up that you got to navigate, but I think having that clear direction is going to be really beneficial.
What do you think is the difference between, I was going to say Rory McIlroy, will give Cameron Young a little love. What is the difference between your level and that level?
Yeah, I mean, the consistency, the length plays a big factor in it. A lot of the courses we play, it's just they are able to overpower it in ways that guys like me can't. Last week was a perfect example for that. Obviously, the rough put a premium on accuracy. And I used to think those were the weeks that I could really, take advantage because I'm a little bit straighter. But nowadays, with the speed that those guys have, like those are the weeks that they almost have more of an advantage, because when they do miss the fairway, they can actually get it out and do something with it. I watched, even the first day coverage, I watched Rory hit it left on 2 and rip what seemed to be like a 4 or 5 iron out of the rough up near the green. And I had missed that fairway, a couple hours earlier, and was deciding between wedge and 9 iron for my chip out. So it was it's kind of eye opening when you see that. And then, like a guy like Scotty, it's the consistency. Like I can obviously beat him any given day. I have when we've played together, but over the course of the year, like how well he plays all the time, how well those guys play all the time is kind of the separator.
Who is the most underrated player that you've played with on the PGA Tour? Someone who maybe the average fan doesn't think about as one of the best players in the world, but when you've played with them, you're like, damn, this guy's got game.
Wow, that's a really good question. There's so many. I mean, my boring answer to that question would be like everybody who's not on TV. I think that's one of the biggest problems with golf right now is everyone is so good. If I think about like, 10 years ago when I first came on tour, like the 250th best player now versus then, it's not even close. I think about my years on the Canadian Tour and my years on the Korn Ferry Tour. It's so much deeper. Everyone is so much better. And that was what was so frustrating to me with the smaller fields is it's like golf is in such a good place. There's so much competition and everyone is so good. So to limit playing opportunities seems like the exact opposite of what should be happening. We should be showcasing how deep the golf world is. Pure talent wise, I mean, everybody knows Denny's an unbelievable putter. So he'd be up there for me, a guy that I just, I can't believe hasn't won yet. And I think he's going to at some point. I'd like to think myself, honestly. I know that's kind of another boring answer, but I really, I do believe in my game. And I think that there's some things that I can do out here. Obviously, I've been out here for a decade that a lot of guys can't. And, I think in a way, like, some of my weaknesses, the fact that I'm still out here with some of those weaknesses is kind of why I would put myself in that category.
What are your weeknesses? Like when you say that, what do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't hit it very far. And honestly, a lot of the time I don't even hit it that straight off the tee. In today's golf game, like driver is the most important club and it's probably my worst club. So the fact that I've been able to stay out here with that, I hit it a lot lower than a lot of guys. But I got great hands. I'm a good putter. I'm great around the greens. I can make something out of nothing. So yeah, I would put myself up there for that category.
I like it. A little bit of confidence never hurt anybody. What's one rule that you'd like to see changed?
I guess honestly, my number one rule that they did change it was the pitch mark rule. If you were in somebody else's pitch mark, that was bananas to me. Like if your ball is embedded, it's embedded. What difference does it make? I'm very partial to not changing the divot rule, even though I think a lot of guys do, think it's dumb that we have to play out of someone's divot because we're trying to play out of the best conditions. I don't know. I think it's a part of golf. I think, as much as we can highlight people's creativity and recovery shots, that's the best.
What's the best range on the PGA Tour? Forget golf course. What's the best practice facility?
Last week, it's not even close. The back range at TPC Sawgrass, I do not like to practice. I hate hitting balls. I like to play. I'll chip and putt, but I like to play. I do not like to hit balls. I did sit on that back range on Sunday for hours. It is the best. It is, if you could make a range in your head, that would be it.
Because it just has like all the different greens. Like what's so good about it?
Yeah, all the different targets. The way it's maintained, obviously, it's kind of got the wrap around. Another good one is Memorial because it has that where it wraps around so you can hit kind of a bunch of different wind directions depending on where you're standing. It's got some trees back there, so it's great for shade, trees that aren't in the way, but there's coverage. It's just perfect. It's everything you could want.
I loved the sixth
area. I
loved the sixth hole last week with the tree. I think what a cool way to make golfers have to do some different stuff. Would you be in favor of some more of that kind of outside the box thinking to make you guys are so good, right? Like, and so many guys are so good at hitting their stock shot. And I know the rollback is a separate conversation to be coming in a couple of years, but in the interim, I think like trees off tees that force guys to change their windows. I thought it was pretty cool. What do you think?
Yeah, I think when that tree first got put there, or they increased the overhang or whatever, I was kind of 50-50 about it, but now I love it, having played it a few times. I sure like it a whole lot better than what we normally do, which is just like add 35 yards to a hole and say, oh, this makes it better, because it usually makes it way worse. And I think that hole in particular was cool because that's a hole that normally, a lot of guys lay back on, and it kind of forced you to hit a bigger club like a driver or a 3-wood and kind of push it up where the fairway narrowed. So that was something where, it forced you to hit a shot, but it also like forced you to think too, like, okay, do I need to punch something in order to, still get my number, or I have to push it up? I mean, like the Friday, it was a little bit downwind, so I didn't really want to hit driver because I didn't want to get too close to that front pin. But you don't want to hit like a 7-wood because then I'm bringing that tree off the tee. I could hit it 40 yards. So I actually really did like what they did.
But what'd you end up doing?
I hit driver and just sucked it up, and had my 75-yard shot where I'd rather lay back to 100 or 120 with that front pin, but. It forced you to play something out of your comfort zone. You either challenge off the tee or you challenge into the green. So,
all right, my last question for you: what would make 2026 season a success?
I need to win. Frankly, I've kind of done everything else. The way my career's gone, like I'm a really consistent player, and it's why I've been out here for so long. But after 10 years of it, I'm pretty tired of finishing 30th. We're all out here because we dream about winning, and I miss that excitement. I haven't been in contention in a little bit now, and I miss that. Like, I miss having those juices flowing, and it's more than anything, it's when you learn the most about yourself when you're in those moments. And I miss that. So, I need to get myself back in contention and start doing it more regularly, and I need to win.
Why not this week? I mean, this is a course you got to negates the long hitters.
Absolutely. This is a great course for me. It's a course that I haven't historically played well on, and I always felt like I should. I didn't have the week I wanted last week, but the 2 weeks before that, I started feeling pretty good about my game, and I had a really good weekend worth of practice, and I think I finally got my driver squared away. I've been messing around with some shaft stuff, and I think I got it finally dialed in, and I've been putting great. So there's absolutely no reason this couldn't be the week.
Hell yeah, dude. Thanks for joining the show. I appreciate it.
Anytime, man.
Good guy.
Yeah, I think if I wasn't familiar with Mark Hubbard and I just watched that interview, I'd be watching him.
Yeah.
Because he's got a lot of confidence.
A lot of confidence.
Think people make assumptions about like the 77th guy on tour, and he's like, I'm happy to be here. He's got more interest than just being there.
He said he's tired of finishing 30th, You've been doing out there, you played hundreds of events, and
he's picking himself too.
Right, and you got to remember that these guys who are tour players were the best at every level growing up.
Oh yeah.
They're used to, like, I bet you in I know for sure in Denver where he grew up, he was probably winning every single tournament.
He was like a child prodigy probably.
Went to San Jose State, which is not a golf powerhouse, but I'm sure in his conference he was the man. And then you get out there and you're just finishing 30th a lot. It's kind of a kick in the sack.
Well, he talks about the depth of the fields or the depth of the pro game too. I mean, I'm sure there's even the 150th best guy in the world is like in that mentality, because he was also a juggernaut when he was 18.
Or if like he's from Germany, he was probably the best player in Germany when he was growing up. So, all right, we're gonna move into the Dankings, another real sicko shit Dankings.
So excited for
Last week we did post swing mannerisms. This week we are going to be ranking pre-shot quirks, weird things that golfers do before they hit the golf ball. We're going to start with the ones that make you a little impatient, and we're going to end with the ones that are like pretty sweet and get you excited. We're going to start with number 10, the Brian Harmon waggle. This got a ton of airplay during the Open Championship when he won the Open. They actually brought out the waggle counter, which I thought was savage. He waggles. He's a waggler. You don't see a lot of waggles out on tour. One or two waggles, fine. He's gotten a little faster, I think, since then, but he's still waggling. Still waggling.
He got a lot of airtime because it takes a long time to get away from him.
It's a waggle. He's still waggling. He gives you a little pump fake where you think he's done waggling, and then he starts waggling again. All right, let's move to the next one. Number 9. It's very kind of similar, same vein. Keith Mitchell. Tippy-tappy with the feet.
Oh, I've never noticed that.
Emma, my wife, actually pointed this one out because we were watching him at Pebble, and she was like, man, he really does a little two-step. He goes pitter-patter, pitter-patter, pitter-patter. There's no waggle here, but it's pitter-patter, pitter-patter, pitter-patter. And then he finally hits the golf shot. Here it is again, off the tee, pitter-patter, pitter-patter. Poor bug under his foot.
It reminds me of a dog or a cat like making its bed in the blanket.
Just keep moving, keep moving. All right, let's move to the next one. Again, kind of similar where you're like, just get on with it already. The Billy Horschel stutter step when he goes into a putt. This one will make you seasick a little bit. He like steps into it, then he doesn't step into it. He's just inching toward the ball, and then he switches the feet, kind of inches toward it, and the left foot comes in. He does weird stuff with his
pumps.
Billy is a bit of a neurotic golfer, and this routine, I feel like there's times where he does it more and times where he does it less. I like the times when he does it less. The Xander Schauffele regrip. This is the modern day Sergio Garcia. We got some close-ups here of Xander. Just a lot going on with the hands here. Look at regrip, regrip 3, then regrip with the top, regrip. You didn't notice this?
I knew it, but not this
Then he goes again.
successive.
Then it's the waggle, and then he does it again. We get a bunch of regrips. You'll notice this when you watch Xander. There's a ton of regrips. All right, now we're moving into the ones that are kind of cool, kind of quirky. Matt Fitzpatrick, he approaches his golf shots with his left arm only. You don't see that very often on tour. He reaches in with his left arm.
Interesting.
I think, most guys go with the right and they bring in the left, or they go in with two. He goes in just with the left. I think he's trying to get his shoulder square to not have like an open setup. But I've just noticed this about Matt. It's always with the left arm. Number 5, Ricky hovering the driver. Right before he hits it, this is a classic one, tried and true. He'll kind of put his club down, and then right before he hits it, tap, tap, raise. It's cool. It's like raise, and then he gets it into the slot.
I don't know how he thinks about that moment. It's got to be just.
I don't think he thinks about it. Look, it's down, it's down, it's down, it's up, and it goes up and then right into a slot.
Whoa.
Like it's called muscle memory. Golfers are creatures of habit. Tap, tap, raise. All right, number 4. This one is coming to our consciousness more recently. The Ryo Hisatsune water sip.
Oh yeah.
Guy takes a sip of water before he putts, before he hits chip shots. How can you explain this?
Holds the water in his mouth the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know if he's trying to stay level or maybe he's just, trying to cool himself down a little bit. But if you're going to caddy for Ryo Hisatsune, you better have the water right there. And you better have that shit full. Because
it's cold too.
The last thing that you want Ryo to do is go for the water and there's no water in there. He can't putt.
Or hot and he spits it out.
Number 3, saw this all the time on the PGA Tour, still doing it. The Matt Wolff knee buckle. This one was big. It was box office when it first came out. He does a little routine, a little kind of almost like a move toward the ball. He's kind of rehearsing. Yeah, he's kind of rehearsing the turn. Matt Wolff's swing when he first came on the scene was all anyone talked about, and that little knee buckle is a big part of it. Very, very distinct. Number 2, this is real sicko. You got to be a real sicko to notice this. Sometimes, not always, Scotty Scheffler will step out, he'll back out of a chip rehearsal with his left foot. And someone told me once, when Scotty does that, he's thinking about holding it. Let's show some view. Look he steps out with the left foot. He takes the club back and then he steps out with the left foot. There it is again. I noticed it this weekend. He doesn't do it every time. I think it's a feel it kind of situation, but look, practice step out. You ever notice that?
That is so weird, but like it's got to make so much sense to him.
Yeah, well, he
holds out a lot.
He's moving the feet all along. And number 1 is Ludwig Oberg, the quick check of the position on the backswing, P1, because it just means that he's about to fire away, because this man plays so fast. Look, it's always one check, check, looks back, check, then he fires. One check, look back, fire. I love his pre-shot routine, look back, check, fire. He's just, Ludwig could use a little love right now, so I wanted to put him number 1 in the Dankings. I thought that was a phenomenal Dankings, if I do say so myself.
That was my favorite one so far.
Better than the post swing?
Yes.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, because you got to really like watch golf to know what these guys are doing. Like,
it's some sicko shit. Also, some sick, awesome, cool stuff. Not sicko, but sick. Are these sunglasses? Knockarounds? These are the panoramas. Alex Bush told me that these were like a green.
Yeah,
had no idea.
Green.
Yeah, had no idea.
Yeah, mine are black.
Just didn't know. They look great though. And you got the panorama. You're a panorama guy.
I'm like dedicated to panorama 24/7. I love it so much.
Stop spending stupid money on sunglasses. I'm going to Japan, and you know what I'm going to be bringing with me to Japan? A whole bunch of knockarounds, because they're great for golf. They're great for off the golf course. The same quality, if not better, of sunglasses that cost 5-10 times the price. And we have a promo code for you guys. If you go to knockaround.com and use the promo code DanOnGolf20, you get 20% off your first order. It brings these incredible quality sunglasses to right around $30. What I would do if I was you, which I'm not, but if I was, I would go on knockaround.com/golf. I'd look at all the golf sunglasses. I'd get 3-4. Use the promo code DanOnGolf20, 20% off, and you'll be surprised. You'll be shocked at the quality of these sunglasses for the price. Ben, we talk a lot about clothes with you. We had a big discussion that Golf Twitter has really taken to the next level.
Yeah, trending topic
about tuck in or not tuck in. We're not going to talk about that today, but we're going to give you the floor to highlight some good and some not so good outfits.
Yeah, so we did this once before. It's called Golfers Wearing Clothes, and we decided we liked it so much we were going to add to it.
I love it.
And we're adding to the positivity too. So I have a couple of guys that I think portrayed themselves very well this week. A couple
not so good,
not so much, and then an archival lesson for you too. So let's kick things off with the good. And let's start again with Ludwig Aubert.
Giving a lot of
Let's
Ludwig
give him a
love.
lot of flowers. I mean, you mentioned this on the watch along, but these pants are actually, they're golf pants with an Adidas track pant stripe down the side.
Yeah.
How cool
The
is that?
3 stripes, I think.
All 3.
Yeah.
The iconic 3 stripes. And I like this because it doesn't look like he's egregiously like trying to wear I'm going to say a bad word, streetwear on the golf course.
It's a subtle nod.
It's a subtle nod to the history of the brand that he wears every week.
What is the logo, the like wider logo? Do you know what I'm talking about?
The trefoil logo.
That is a really cool
Let's
logo.
pull up the next photo of Ludwig. You'll see it here.
Yeah.
I love that logo on the dad hat specifically. Why I pulled this look though is this contrast placket on the shirt. You might not be able to tell the collar and the button placket are navy blue.
Okay.
And then the shirt's white with stripes. So it's just a nice like vintage look. This is a very like 70s vibe. Adidas, that logo is Adidas Originals. So it's back to their like archival stuff.
Yeah.
And they're really leaning into that this year with all their scripting. So everything Ludwig wore this week was Adidas Originals and every single fit looked good. So
Okay.
give
Good
him
stuff
his
from
flowers.
Ludwig.
What's up?
You have some more good ones, don't you?
Yeah, we got some more good ones. Tony Finau. I think Tommy first. Yes. Tommy Fleetwood rocking the wide pants. Listen, no matter what shirt he wears or what hat he wears every week, people are going to talk about, oh, he's wearing that from the course. The thing that's been consistent about what Tommy's wearing week to week is that he's wearing wide pants. He's not wearing a tight golf polyester. Those might be polyester, but look how much room he has in the ankle. Look how much room he has around the knee, around the thigh, in his crotch, in his butt. Like everything that he needs there to be room, there's room.
And it's a big contrast from what he was wearing with Nike, right? Like
Yes.
that was the tight stuff.
Nike doesn't make a wide set pant, a wide silhouette. So he really didn't have a choice to do that. If you look at Scotty or Rory, you'll see what their pants look like.
Yeah, he's wearing a lot of Sunday red.
Yes, which makes sense because he's a tailor-made guy and that's under the same house. So I think if I was a betting man, I'd put chips in Sunday red for who he's going to sign with.
Okay, some more good ones?
All right, so let's move on now to Tony Finau.
Yes.
Tony Finau
Jordan.
wore Jordan all week, as he always does, but every fit was good. I think we have 4 Tony Finau looks here, which goes to show you, like, nobody ever goes 4 for 4 on the PGA Tour. That's
Hard to
crazy.
do. Look at those.
The first one was
crease.
like a terry cloth, like lightweight. Like you love these shirts. Like, you might
I
even have
love the
that
button-down shirts. I wore those back in the day, and you know what I like about that shirt so much? It's tucked in.
It's tucked in, and I was going to say that it actually looks better tucked in, even though he wouldn't have to do that with a shirt like that. The next one's awesome. It feels like Tiger.
Yeah,
in a way,
mock
like
neck with the creased pants.
red mock neck with pleated pants. The gray belt. Like I hate these kind of belts. These like woven whatever.
Yeah.
He makes it work here
Will
because
you help me find belts, because all the belts that I can find, because I think they are like very functional because they don't have to make different sizes of them.
Yeah.
Can you help me find belts?
2 numbers ahead of your waist size.
Yeah.
Just go find a leather belt. Any
Just
leather
leather.
belt. Just leather belt with
Okay.
a silver buckle.
Okay. Got it. Any more good ones?
Yes, we got more good ones. More Tony, honestly. Like then he went into the stripe mode, which could maybe look a little circusy if it's not your style, but I really love how he monotoned it. This is Tan Rappaport. He's got the tan stripes, the tan khakis, and again, that belt, the style of belt that I hate, it's working here.
And you know what I like about this? In an era when so many PGA Tour players look like NASCAR drivers with logos all over the place.
Yes.
Maybe there's a logo on that hat. I don't see it. There's one clean, the Jumpman logo is about as iconic as it gets. This is a clean look. He doesn't look like he's just slapping logos all over the place.
And this is Tony's style. He's coming from Nike into Jordan, kind of a nice transition. Nike doesn't billboard their shit. Jordan's not either. So shout out to Tony for that. He's got one more striped look here, which again, like this shirt on its own, I wouldn't buy off the rack, and I might not even award it like a style award any week. But the way that he's put the whole look together, the navy pants, the white, the two-tone hat, a lot of good stuff from Tony Finau this week. More good stuff. It was a great week at the Players'
More good
Championship.
stuff.
Perennial guy. He's always on our list, Jason Day.
Yes.
Wanted to talk about this particular fit because I
turtleneck.
quite liked the turtleneck. I quite liked it tucked in. It's a mock, I would say. And I like the color of his pants a lot. You'll see in this next shot.
I'm not a color guy. What are they?
Oh, they're like chocolate brown.
Okay.
And then they've got the M Malvin script on the back there. Just another subtle flex that he's not going to do things like everybody else. And I think that was our last good example.
Okay.
So we'll move on to the lessons here.
The not so good.
The first is one that you pointed out to me, and I took a closer look at as the tournament went on. Matt Fitzpatrick, his pants didn't fit him quite well this week. I don't think he cares, as
He doesn't care.
very
I can
much
tell
stated.
you for sure he doesn't care.
However, if anybody does care and they don't want to look like this, he just has the opposite of the right taper going on here. He's got too wide in the waist and too tailored at the ankle. He should let that silhouette breathe as it gets down his leg, and maybe a little bit more of a baggier pant. He's not like a skinny guy, right? He's a muscular, athletic build.
He's grown.
afford to have wider, more baggier pants.
Okay.
Next up was Jordan Spieth. You remember last week I was shitting on Nike's little like patterns
That
and
one's
stuff
very
that they were
similar.
doing. Very similar, although it's even more haphazard here with Under Armour. I don't know that I've seen an Under Armour shirt that I've ever liked. This one, kind of tough. It looks almost like a ski scene is going on there. You can see it closer in the next one where he's at the presser.
Yeah, that looks like random doodles.
Right? Like, great effort. Maybe just keep it in one spot, and then it actually looks like a kid like doodled on it. It might be novel there, but man, I know Jordan Spieth also doesn't care. He's going to wear whatever they put on him, but I just don't want other people taking away this lesson. Like, that's a good shirt.
Fair enough.
And then next up, I wanted to talk about a brand that I love that I'm tired of them not showing up as their best on tour. And it's Jay Lindbergh, who Victor Hovland wears. You'll see this shirt he's wearing is like super busy. I think this is like, honestly, what the people who say shrink the game like don't want shirts to look like. This looks like it's like... It
looks like a 1990s soccer jersey.
Yeah, it's made to be flashy and look at. And listen, Jay Lindbergh likes to go outside of the box. But they have so much more straightforward, stylish, great silhouetted and cut clothing. I wish they'd put more of it on Victor, because again, this is an athletic build. Like, he's got a great bod.
Yeah, let's show it off a little more.
Let him show it off a little bit more. All right, and then we have an archival piece just to give flowers here at the end. Look at this Tabasco shirt on this guy.
Wow.
Can you see?
Yeah, I can see.
Steve Pate.
Is that a spot? It's got to be a sponsorship deal or something?
I think he was actually sponsored by Tabasco, which is maybe the greatest clothing sponsor in the history of the PGA Tour.
Pretty damn good.
I'm a big Tabasco guy. A lot of people hate on Tabasco.
I'm a Cholula guy. You like the more vinegary.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Grew up on it, but I've never seen this before, and I was so heartened to see that Steve Pate was sponsored by Tabasco back in the day.
Well, I also like the Strata.
Let's talk about the Strata hat.
With the sort of, that's like a beige, isn't it?
It is beige with like a blue on top. Yeah, the hat actually is low key a great part of this fit.
It's a very distinctly 90s 2000s PGA Tour.
Good shout, Dan.
Nice job.
Thanks, buddy.
Nice job with the fashion stuff. We're gonna leave you guys, and then when I say leave you guys, we're really gonna leave you guys. We're going on spring break. There's gonna be no watch along on Sunday, no shows next week. We'll be back as normal. I think for the watch along next Sunday. For the Texas Children's Open. We'll be back the following Monday as normal, but we're going to go on spring break. I'm going to Japan with my family, going to give you guys a little bit of a breather. But we have a great interview before we go. So Mark Blackburn has been, I think, the last two lists, the #1 golf coach in America, voted by Golf Digest. It's voted by his peers, so he has the deep respect of his peers, and he works with a who's who of PGA Tour pros. Longtime coach for Max Homa. They broke up. They're back together. We're going to talk about that. He's been with Matt Fitzpatrick since last year. Fitz has become a good iron player, which was always his Achilles heel. Justin Rose, get a lot of love for not going quietly into that good night at age 45.
Trending guys only.
Trending guys only. Enjoy our interview with Mark Blackburn, and we'll see you in a little while here. All right, I'm joined by the #1 golf teacher in these great United States, Mark Blackburn. You've had that title for a couple of years now. Is that cool when I introduce you as that, #1?
Very humbling.
Yeah. How is it humbling? I feel like it's got to make you unhumble.
No, I'm kidding. It's a cool honor, I guess. Your peers elect you, so it is pretty cool that people think enough of you, the people in the golf instruction community, that they think that you're pretty good at what you do. So that's pretty
Well, you're
cool.
definitely very good at what you do. We're going to get into, some of the players that you're working with. Obviously, Matt Fitzpatrick, who you've been working with since last year, hitting the ball incredibly well. I mean, you've turned Fitz into a good iron player, which I thought was, probably impossible to do. But we're going to start with the coaching code. I've got my copy right here.
I got my copy right here. Look at that. I got a match.
Well, you wrote this book with not me, which was, your choice. That's fine. Why did you decide to write this book, and give us sort of the elevator pitch on what this book is?
So I think it's one of those things when you're a coach, it's like, how can I contribute to the coaching community and golf coaches? And obviously I have an academy with 5 other coaches, and you're always trying to bestow on them some of the lessons. And more often than not, you learn from your errors and your mistakes. And I've made plenty in 25 plus years. And I think for young coaches, there's an amazing amount of information and technology available now. But the humanistic side of coaching, the people skills, the soft skills are something that's very misunderstood. And experience is really the only thing that can sort of teach you that. And I think if you can help other coaches learn, how do you deal with players? What's the reality of coaching on tour? How do you develop high performance, which is essentially what coaching the best players is in any sport, regardless of what you coach. If you're working at the elite level, you're developing high performers to make them the best players possible. And it's really a guidebook to show people how to develop high performance, the art and the science of coaching. So everybody knows I'm a techie nerd and I love the latest sort of technology, but also the latest systems and, if you like, research based in human development, human sort of, if you like, high performance, and how do you apply that? But then also the artistic part, how do you deliver that? What's the sort of human interaction, which I think is really important. If you look at great golf coaches, specifically say the likes of Randy Smith or Butch Harmon, they're great at, changing to the student, so to speak, and dumbing it down. And some people need nurture, some people need a kick in the butt. And it's all of those things that were sort of rolled into one. The coaching code was really sort of tenets to be able to show people these are the things that you can do if you want to be a good coach, regardless of the sport. These are techniques that you can apply. This will help people get where they want to go. And I always tell everyone, like, being a coach is not about being, best friends with your clients. It's about pushing them to do things that they didn't think were possible. And so you mentioned Matt Fitzpatrick. So when he asked me to help him last year about this time, right after the Masters, I saw a lot of opportunity in Matt, and he had the reputation in his own mind that he wasn't a great iron player and never could be. But I challenged him. I thought, yes, you can be, and now he's become a pretty proficient iron player. So again, it's a critical thinking approach to coaching. How do you help people do things that they didn't think were possible? And great coaches see things in people and pull things out of people that they just didn't think they could do. And that's what the coaching code is, regardless of whatever endeavor you're in, whether you run an organization, whether you coach golfers, whether you coach, Little League Baseball. I think there's lessons to be learned for all types of people to get people to do things more effectively and better ways to do it.
So what is, you mentioned you made plenty of mistakes. What are some of the mistakes that you made as a younger coach?
I think often at times when you're younger, you're very keen to share the information you've got, and you think that telling somebody a lot of info is going to show them that you know a lot, and that's going to impress them. And really, wisdom and genius is saying as little as possible to get the best outcome possible. And I think you'd learn that from players early on. Oh, you're a really technical coach. And the reality is, I've always tried to look at it as, how would you play the game? I'm a former player. How do you shoot the lowest scores possible? And so whatever the technique, information you use, I tend to use a lot more analogies and metaphors now that are very non-technical. They're sort of external driven cues to try and help somebody accomplish something. Whereas when I first started, it would be more about the X's and O's, and I wasn't quite as articulate in changing my vocabulary, using different analogies to relate to the person. And I think as you get older and more experienced, you get a lot better at that, and it becomes a lot more artistic, because the information that's out there, it's very easy now to basically determine what somebody does. But then how do you create a narrative for them to buy into it? How do you allow them to get better? And how do you show them the mechanisms without them feeling like they're really changing too much? Because obviously that's the hard part. Every player that's great has got there because they're successful, but how are you trying to get them even better? And what are the mechanisms you're going to use to do that without them thinking that they're getting coached, right? And obviously the correlation between their body, their physicality, and what they do in their golf swing, a lot of times those are opportunities because there's a parallel there that's kind of misunderstood or not really tapped into. So that's one of the ways. But the reality for me is always trying to make people understand, what's the best way for them to do it in the simplest fashion. And Fitz is very different to Rosie, who's different to Homer, who's different to Berger, who's different to Højgaard, who's different to Hoffman, who's different to Hadwin. They're all so different, these players. Trey Mullinax is different. So my job is to be a bit of a chameleon and adapt to the player and figure out what's the language, if you like, that they respond best to. How do I push them, poke them, get them to do things they may not necessarily want to, but improve without them feeling like they're jeopardizing all the things they already do. And that's the artistic part of being a great coach, regardless of the sport.
Well, it's an interesting one because what you said, there's all this technology now where you can, with your cell phone, you can take a scan of what a player, their swing, and it will tell you, exactly what they're doing. So you're saying part of being a good coach now, a golf coach, it's not simply diagnosing the problem now. There's so many toys that can help you do that. It's almost more of like you're playing part psychologist.
Yeah, I think you listen. I don't think you'd ever claim to be a psychologist, and there's wonderful psychologists in the game, but you're trying to figure out all of these different pieces of information. You're a bit like a GM, if you like. How do a golf coach is taking all the information. There's a lot of different experts in different areas, whether it's a biomechanist, a nutritionist, whether it's a sports psychologist, whether it's a short game coach, a putting coach, and you're trying to integrate all these different disciplines to help a player figure out what's their issue. Now, the best thing for us now as coaches is we have analytics. So we're all a lot more accountable. There's way more objectivity in coaching than there ever has been before. So when a player comes to you, you can actually isolate where are they losing strokes. If you take strokes gained, is it putting? Is it a approach? Is it around the green? Is it driving? Like, where are they losing strokes? And I think you also become more selective and smarter as a coach. If somebody's deficit matches your skill set, you generally entertain helping them. If somebody comes to me and I look at their stats and they're a pretty good ball hitter and they chip it pretty good and they drive it okay, but they putt terrible, I'm probably going to tell them to go see Phil Kenyon, Mike Kansky, a putting coach, because that's not my superpower. But if somebody struggles ball striking, maybe around the green or pitching, and they putt great, I'm like, I can probably help that person. So again, those are the sort of things that you're looking at. But my job as the coach is to bring all the information in and then simplify to the player, this is what you need to do. And I think sometimes it's analysis by paralysis, There's a lot of info, but you've got to get to the root cause. And I think good coaches get rid of all the fluff. I'm pretty old school, way more Nick Saban or Alex Ferguson, as you'd probably like to remember him, to try and tell someone this is what you need to do. My job's not to be your buddy. My job is to make you do things that you didn't think were possible by telling you hard truths sometimes and pushing you to do things that are difficult, because that's what allows you to create facts in practice. And the facts in practice make self-belief, confidence, so you're able to execute under pressure.
Well, I still think about, we had a lesson at Irondequoit right next to Oak Hill 2023 PGA Championship, and now I'm actually a major champion. I won the Brentwood Country Club Championship, which is my Masters, so it worked out.
There you go.
I wanted to ask about Fitz. So, he's got a very unique golf swing. I think a lot of people who watch, who maybe aren't super attuned to the, mechanics, they say, oh, he's whipping it inside, and, he's got such a quick tempo. And, what was it like? How did he approach you? And then, we talked about, there's always been this sort of glaring weakness with the iron play. I mean, he's such a good putter. He drives it really, really nice and really low and really straight. I mean, he hit a lot of good tee shots in a row on the back nine yesterday. How did you go about helping him, and particularly with the irons?
Yeah, so, the golf community is pretty small. Matt's longtime coach, a very good friend of mine, Mike Walker, wasn't able to travel for some family stuff, and he needed somebody to kind of help him. And Kenyon and he had decided I should probably be the person to do it. So really started as a favor to Mike, and then Matt asked me if I would, give him some input, and he was specifically struggling with his irons. Obviously, Coach Alex's brother, and so it's one of those things where there's some idiosyncrasies in Matt's swing, but if you understand mechanics, there's actually a lot of genius there. And I think it's more trying to understand, look, there's been plenty of great golfers who take the club inside and then loop it over. And if you like a cut, that's a pretty good pattern to have. And then if you kind of look at a lot of Matt's physical characteristics, we kind of call him Condor because he's got massive wingspan. And so the problem for him was he was a bit mismatched with kind of his posture. So we changed his posture, and we got him to be in a bit more of what I would call a cut bias pattern, and tried to change some of the mechanics of how he uses his body to favor producing more of a cut. And he'd spent a lot of time developing a lot of speed. And speed is definitely a huge byproduct of moving kind of laterally in the golf swing and very much vertically. And that produces massive speed, a bit more of a draw, but can be very challenging for producing really crisp, controlled cut iron shots, the shot that he wanted. He was almost trying to use a technique be great for a high long iron or a massive smash driver. It's not going to be so conducive to a cut, 9 iron, 8 iron. And so we kind of added in a little less of him moving down the target line, a little bit more rotational, which he did probably inherently as a kid. And then when he chased speed, his swing kind of changed a little bit. And so what we've done is trying to take the pieces he used for distance, but then marry them up, harmonize a little bit more with his lower body, creating a bit more rotation. Some people might call that torque. So it's easier to get the club traveling outside in and across the ball. Much easier for him to get his body open through the hit, which now opens the club face to the path, and he produces a very controlled cut. The best thing I would say Matt's got going for him, strong grip, club loops in and shifts over. That's a great cut pattern. There's lots of people who've played really well doing that, trying to hit a cut. And so for me, it was just adding in the ingredients, if you like, that would get him to be very cut biased consistently with the irons. And then as the club got longer, he'd still have the ability to hit the draw if he wanted to with ball position, but then also still produce a lot of fades. And he likes that lower shot. So a little bit more rotational, staying on top of the golf ball. Those are all great things for him. So it kind of married up really, really nicely. But he's a consummate professional, works really hard in the gym with the Cressy Performance guys, Andrew and Eric, and then Luke Mackey is performance director, does a great job, obviously, with Phil, with the putting. I mean, he's Mozart with the putter. Put in his original putter. He changed putters recently, and then before the Ryder Cup, and then he put back his putter, his blade style, at the weekend at Bay Hill and started to roll it really, really well. So he's got a great team of people, obviously works with Eduardo and the Protivity guys, Nick and Ray. He's got a great performance team around him. So he is, sneaky, a big golf dork, but he does a great job. And then Robbie is psychologist too. So he's got a really good team of people. He had everybody with him at the Players this week. It was good. He's a great guy to coach, a lot of fun, and I can look forward to continuing to push him because I don't think his best golf is anywhere close to what he's seen yet, which he can't believe I keep telling him that, but it seems to be trending in the right direction.
And why does he have such high potential? You're saying because it's those natural moves with the sort of in and loop, like you think he could just become a killer with the cut?
Yeah, I think if you look at his statistics, they're the best they've ever been, like approach-wise, and he's a phenomenal putter, and he's getting better and better with the short game. So if you add in what he's already got, and then you add that precision, he's a great driver of the golf ball. He's really unfortunate on 18. His ball ran through the fairway yesterday, but he's very straight. He hits it a long way. He's got precision, and he's just learning to use all of those things. So to me, I think that his ceiling, he's leveling up, so to speak, and I think he's going to continue to get better and better. And as Pete Cowan said, the most impressive thing about Matt Fitzpatrick, and I think he's a lovely guy, but he doesn't get stage fright. He's very stoic. Like, he is very calm. The Matt I deal with on a Monday is the same Matt I'm dealing with on a Sunday in a warm-up at a major. And that's kind of unusual with players. We're still talking about Sheffield United or the Premier League or how bad Liverpool are. We're having a good joke. The team's very sarcastic. So he's got a really great head on his shoulders. I think that he's got a lot of intangibles that make for elite golf.
So when we had you on the show last year, I asked you about the split with Max Homa, and you said, golf is a long career. It's a small world. You guys are back together. What does that conversation look like from his perspective? And is it a little awkward, or is it like the band's back together? This is great. I said to somebody asked me last week, I think from the PGA Tour, if I look at my work with Max was the first player I think who very openly and publicly gave me a lot of credit. And I think that, you develop relationships with players, and players that you have a lot of success with, obviously you have a close bond with. And I felt like I wanted the best for Max. The timing wasn't right to do what we wanted to do. And I'm always very protective of a player. And I think he now appreciates that and understands where I was coming from in 24. And so I told him when we split, the door was always open. As I told you before, I generally didn't think he would ever ask me again, but he did. And it's very. I knew he would come back. I was texting you. I said it's only a matter of time.
But it's been great. John Scott Rattan did a great job with him. They fixed some of the things that needed fixing. They may have gone a little too far, and we kind of brought it back somewhere in the middle. But, yeah, Max is starting to do some really good things. The driver is getting better. But, yeah, it's very, very similar. Like, it's almost like it was never any different, right? It's one of those things. It's just the same working environment. He's great to coach. He's very intuitive. He's doing some really, really good things. So I feel like he's starting to trend a little bit. I think the hard part, when you've been one of the best players in the world, a top 10 player in the world, you see yourself as that top 10 player in the world. And golf is hard because it goes up and down, ebbs and flows. So the goal is to try and get him back there and not get the expectations too high, but continue to play well, continue to do good things. So he's definitely moving in the right direction, starting to drive it a lot better, gone back to more of that flat cut. He's hitting some incredible iron shots. His approach game last week was really, really good. I think the hard part last week is it's so penal. You know, you go a little bit off around the green. It was very much a major setup. The short game gets a little bit tricky, and the greens were a little bit crispy at times. But he's in the right direction. Obviously, he's in Augusta, which is great because he played really well there last year. And I think he's starting to trend in the right direction. He's starting to score well, which is, you know, he's a good golfer. If you look at last week, he put together some really nice strings of holes, 4 or 5 birdies in a row around the stadium course, which is really good. So he's got more ball control. He's getting there. I feel very optimistic that he will be back in the winner's circle before the year end. But as a coach, I'm the eternal optimist.
My last question for you. I always am interested in the opinions and on Scottie Scheffler's swing. And I know, it looks very unconventional, we'll say, but, and I've talked to some people off camera, they say, I can't believe how good it is. You're the number one teacher in the country by some metrics. What do you make of Scottie's move? And obviously it's worked for him incredibly well the last couple of years.
So I think, look, when you understand kind of how the swing works and you start to look at the nuances, I haven't looked at any data, any 3D data or any ground reaction force data, but I'm making some assumptions based on the knowledge I have. I think Scottie does some things that are incredible. Okay, so obviously Randy's a phenomenal coach, which one of the coaches I respect the most. He's a kind of a mentor of mine, but he's great. But he gets guys to play golf. He's really good at dumbing things down to hitting golf shots. So if you take a look, one of the things most people don't appreciate, if you look at the stature of Scottie Scheffler, he is a big man, right? He's a big human. So he's got a big wingspan. He's got a massive arc. So he generates a lot of speed without having to do a whole lot. It's not like he's trying to absolutely smash. It doesn't appear that way. He's got that sort of little cut shot he hits, and then he's also got a smash go-to. But he's very straight. He's athletic. He's got a big high arc. You notice his ground forces because they're kind of his feet move around. But there's some genius to that I think works well. He obviously has quite a lot of shift down the target line, but marries that really well with kind of how his club moves a little bit left. And to me, he's got his own golf swing, but it works really, really well. And there's a lot of pieces that make a lot of sense that are really smart. And if you want to send the ball a long way, you want to be able to hit it high, he's got a very good action for doing that. But he also has the ability that he can turn around and hit a lot of off-speed shots. Some of the shots I've seen him hit are just incredible. And the players I coached that played with him have gone, can't believe he hit that shot. That shot's just unbelievable. So he's a shot maker as well. So I think maybe that comes from Randy. The technique might look a little bit unconventional by traditional standards, but it's actually got a lot of really cool pieces in it, which makes sense that they work really well in unison. But I also think he's probably the best golfer in terms of he plays the game. If you play Scottie at any sport, whatever it is, he's ultra competitive. He wants to win. And I think he's just the epitome of getting the ball in the hole, hit it, go find it, and go play golf. And then you throw in Kenyon, the little putting genius, my pal. Unfortunately, he's taught him to putt. So now you've got a real problem. You've got someone who can hit it well and he can putt. Obviously, at the moment, people are like, what's wrong with Scottie? Well, he's already won. He's contending when he's not playing well. I think there's nothing wrong with him. He'll probably win a couple of majors this year. It wouldn't surprise me. So I think his game is really good. I think there's a lot of genius in his swing. I'd love to measure it if I could, just to fully appreciate it. But I think he's in great hands with Randy. He's got a great coach. Ted Scott's a great caddy. And he's very grounded. I think he's the most normal person I've ever met. For someone that's like incredible. He pokes fun at me all the time, calls me number one, and I call him number one. We have a bit of a running joke. But he's so normal and down to earth. He's got a great family. Like his priorities are in the right place. I think he's a breath of fresh air. He's great. And I'm not worried about his golf. I'm actually worried about his golf because I think it's really good, which makes it harder for my players.
Awesome. Well, I could talk golf swing with you all day, but I'll let you go. I appreciate it, Mark. Thanks for coming on the show.
You got it, buddy. Thanks for having me.